What's up guys, Anders here with another weekly update. This week we've finally received the central market on NA and EU. So we're going to go over how that works and what exactly we received compared to other regions because there's a lot of confusion and misinformation floating around. I'm going to just jump right into it and let's talk about what actually happened. So the old marketplace, it's pretty much dead. It does not exist anymore. Special deals seems to be gone as well since we can't access the old market anymore. But this should be fixed with a hotfix sometime later this week, if not next week with the patch. Now, if you haven't seen my central market video, we basically have moved to a pre-order or buy order market where we no longer place active bids to win items. Now we have a passive bid system where we order things we want and wait for a lottery to see if we get the item. There are still price caps for items, though they're much higher than before. And what happens at the early stages of a system like this is that people tend to hold on to items they perceive to go up in value over time. This leads to no one really posting ogre rings because the market price is just too low right now, but it's actually rising at the moment of this video. So once people start selling more ogre rings, the item will continue to rise and will update in accordance to how much demand there is for ogre rings. And it's going to continue to increase until the item reaches its price cap or demand goes down. There are no more notifications as we knew them, so we don't know when certain items you may be interested get sold. You will have to check every few hours to see if the price of your buy order has fluctuated, at which point you will need to cancel your pre-order and reorder it at a higher price. Prices can fluctuate to plus or minus 10% of their base price. So if you have an item that is selling at 100 million silver at base, you can order it for 110 million or 90 million at its lowest. As supply and demand change, the base price of the item will change as well. So I mentioned there is a lottery. That's an RNG concept as to whether or not you win an item. If you have the highest priced order and placed your order early, you have a higher chance to win the item. It's not exactly first come first served, but you will more than likely be awarded with additional rolls in the lottery when an item sells. This means you should try to be amongst the first to place a buy order on an item you want so that you increase your chances at winning that item. They haven't really made this clear, and as always they offer no specifics, so we have to take their word for it till we learn more. And as far as maids go, they do not offer you more orders, rather they just allow you to transfer silver in and out of the central market warehouse and also allow you to list and retrieve items from the central market warehouse. Now, the central market can now be accessed from the main menu anywhere in the world, doesn't matter where you are. So having a maid will allow you to retrieve the items you purchase and transfer them to your current character's inventory. Silver has now changed as well, since we now have no assigned weight to silver. This is huge for certain places that are silver heavy drops, but to limit the amount of silver you can have on your person at once, they've limited the amount of silver you can hold on a character to 100 million silver, which is a lot still. At around this point, I'm guessing I may have lost a few of you, so that's okay. Let's go over the basics of what's happened again. There's a new market system. You access it through the main menu and market NPC. You put money from your city storage to this warehouse to be able to buy items. You no longer bid. You place pre-orders on things you want, and there's no limit to your pre-orders or buy orders, whatever you want to call them. There is, however, a limit of one buy order on a Pearl Shop item. It works exactly the same way as pre-orders did before, so your money is temporarily held until you win the item or cancel the order. Rare items like Ring of Crescent Guardian and Ogre Rings are rising in price. There are caps to how high the prices will rise, but they're much higher than they used to be. This is good if you sell items you get from events and grinding. Now, to sell items, you need to first place it into the central warehouse. Then you can choose a price to sell it at. There's a unit limit to how many things you can have in the central market storage, so using it as extra storage doesn't really work that well, and your items are placed on the market instantly. You don't have to wait 15 minutes for it to go up. Now, to buy items, you search for what you want and you see if there's any registrations in place for that item. If there are any listed, you can buy them instantly, and if not, you place an order and hope you win it. It's RNG. Now, prices are going to fluctuate the more sales there are of a rare item and overvalued items, so keep that in mind. That's pretty much the gist of how this works. It's very similar to the old concept of the market system that we used to have, just a little bit different and more pre-order heavy. Currently, there are a lot of people unable to use the market, though it works for me in both NA and EU, and some are asking for rollbacks. I really don't think it's gonna happen, guys. So far, I've won pre-orders for milk, and that's pretty much it. So you're limited to how many you can order at once, by the way. So milk, I think it's 500 at once. So as soon as one order goes through, you can collect your items and then set up another one for the same item. You can't set up multiple pre-orders for the same item. Also, something to note, Value Pack will still give you more money from market transactions. There is still tax. So with Value Pack, you'll get 84.5% of the item's value like it was before, except now if you sell a highly sought item that has orders on it, you will instantly sell that item, which will add silver to your central warehouse. That means if you do not have Value Pack active at the time of selling, you will not be getting the full 84.5% of the item. You will be getting 65% instead because you don't have Value Pack running. Before, it was kind of nice because you could sell as many things as you wanted until you had no more listings available, and then you do a 1-day Value Pack and then you collect everything and still get the Value Pack bonus. That doesn't really work anymore, so keep that in mind. Now, I briefly mentioned Pearl item pre-orders. You can have one pre-order for Pearl items, but the amount of Pearl items you can sell per week will now be based on your family fame. So on NA, I have over 4,000 fame or something, and I can sell 35 Pearl items a week. So if you buy and sell costumes, you'd be spending $1,000 to make 7 billion silver every week. And that's pretty spicy. Now on my EU account, I can sell 10. So at the very least, it's doubled for most players. And that's pretty much it for the Central Market Warehouse. If you have any questions about it, I'm sure you do, just leave them in the comments. I'll try and explain or clarify some things that may not be completely clear to most of you. And to be honest, they haven't been exactly forthcoming with a lot of the details about this market system, since in every region it seems to be a little bit different. So we can't just go and see the way it works in Korea and say, okay, it works the same way here, because as usual, not everything is the same. Now, in terms of the rest of the patch, we've had a new siege weapon introduced, the Ballista. You can purchase the Ballista Workshop from the Guild Military Supply Manager, and it's essentially just a Conquest 4 kind of thing. So if you do that, that's pretty cool. There's also now a bookshelf for the adventure logs that has been added. Now, so previously you were only able to view the adventure log using the logbook items that you got. So now you can view the journals through the new UI window, which looks pretty nice. As far as events that we have ongoing, we have the Shadow Arena events, which I can understand if you didn't know about. This event is a sort of secret event, in my opinion, because you can't really track your progress. But basically, every day you should be trying to reach your own personal goal of reaching rank 7th, I think it's for today, or higher in Shadow Arena. Tomorrow would be play Shadow Arena 6 times or more. They're pretty simple achievements to reach every day, but if you're not active on Shadow Arena, you will probably not be able to complete all of them, and have probably missed a couple because it's been going on for over a week now. There's still another week left before the official launch of Shadow Arena. They've supposedly fixed a couple things. I know I was having trouble doing group Shadow Arena this whole week, where it just constant crashes, unable to get into a match, and there's a lot of bugs with the game as well. So they're trying to fix those. Hopefully by next week those are all fixed and the mode is more stable, so it's actually more enjoyable. And apart from that event, we also have the Mount Training Fever Time, which I completely forgot was even on. So that's ongoing. That will basically, if you're a horse trainer, you can train your horses a lot faster, and so that's going to last for another week. Now, speaking of Shadow Arena, you can now equip items when you're not in standby stance. This is huge. So annoying to have to stop and press G to equip one item at a time. Very annoying. So now the only time you need to stop and equip an item is when you loot a main hand that is better than the one you have equipped. Everything else, you can run away from someone and still press G. It's a lot better. Tried it out in solo and it feels automatically a lot better than it used to. There's also now a timer which counts the time survived at the bottom of the minimap. This is good for those daily challenges where you have to survive in Shadow Arena for more than like 9 or 10 minutes or something, so you can keep track and know exactly how long you've survived and then complete that achievement for yourself. The Shadow Arena rankings button with the new escape menu has been changed from new to hot category. Not sure why they even bothered, but yeah, a cool change. They've also fixed the issue in Shadow Arena where the starting soon message would not appear after 50 players have gathered, and they've increased the casting speed for Firebomb and Flashbang. Thank God, they were so slow half the time. I don't really use them. And finally, they've decreased Red Nose's AP by 15%, and it will now target adventurers even if they do not attack it. So, you know, Red Nose will kill you a little bit slower now. All in all, some good changes. I just hope they fix those bugs and continue working on the mode because it has promise. It's really fun when it's working. So hopefully they continue to polish it for next week's launch. As far as class changes, class balance changes, we don't really have anything exciting to talk about. There are a couple like changes later on we'll talk about, but mainly every main hand skill has received a buff with some slight nerfs to damage on the level 1 of those skills. If you see like level 1 skills getting buffs or slight nerfs more than the other levels, it's because they're trying to balance Shadow Arena that way. Shadow Arena uses the level 1 skills of all the classes. For example, for Tamer, they took away the iframe on the evasion skill, but now it only works in PvE, but it's only for level 1. So that should not really affect level 2 and higher skills. So if those skills have protection like the Tamer evasion, it will still retain that protection as you level it. And specific changes for Warrior, Piercing Spear can no longer be used during its cooldown. That's mainly a Shadow Arena change because you really usually have a Warrior Piercing Spear you from a distance and it still does decent damage, so now they can't do that. Overall, all classes have received damage increases to okay skills in Pre-Awakening to kind of help people level to 55 faster. It's okay, but most of the skills aren't kind of garbage, so don't expect like huge buffs. For Witch and Wizard specifically, they fixed Magic Lighthouse. They figured out what was wrong with the skill and, you know, finally fixed it, and they say they apologize and they'll try to fix these types of issues quickly in the future. You know, don't hold your breath on that one. For Musa, the damage of Slice and Tiger Blade stance will be reduced during PvP situations, and Dragon Bite 1 and 2 also reduced in PvP situations. For Mewa, same thing, reduced damage in PvP situations on those two skills. And as far as Archer, he got some buffs, but we're not really going to talk about Archer because Archer's fine. He doesn't really need more attention. The boss monsters from Dark Rift will now slowly weaken as time passes. So if you can't make it to a Dark Rift and you go there and you get your butt kicked, the more you try, the weaker the monster will get. So eventually you'll be able to kill it. Boss monsters from Dark Rift will also weaken in its AP and DP for a total of 4 levels. So that means it can take up to 4 days in certain cases for bosses to become at its weakest. So it's not a very quick weakening of the monster, but it will happen over time. So if you have very low gear and you got a very hard Paturum boss and you can't obviously kill it, if you wait a few days to try and kill it, it will benefit you. Speaking of Paturum, they fixed the issue where he would disappear after 2 hours and 30 minutes. I didn't know that. Thank God that didn't happen to me. And also the Farid boss was moved because a lot of people have never really done the Farid guild boss and they don't know that there's a cave within the Omar lava cave that you need to go to summon Farid. So they moved it outside so that it's not as hard to find, because I know a few people were complaining that the boss is like underground, it's impossible to get to, but they just really weren't exploring hard enough to realize that there's a giant cave opening at the bottom of that lava pit. As far as other changes, they've started changing some Medaya monsters. For example, the optimal AP for Soldier's Grave has been changed to 100 to 180. Previously, they didn't have an optimal AP. What this means is that if you have over 180 AP, you won't be doing any more damage than if you had 180 AP. So basically AP capping that area, and they've also increased the amount of XP those monsters give by 10% and had the HP and DP adjusted to kind of equate the 180 AP threshold that they're giving the area. This is all in preparation for the new Medaya story that already came out in a couple other regions that will be coming out for us. So the new Medaya story is essentially a revamp of essentially what we got with the main story quest, but with Medaya, as they continue to revamp all the stories to kind of make more sense, have a story through line that you can follow and enjoy if you're into lore. And that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys thought about this video in the comments down below. If you have any questions about Central Market, ask me on Discord, ask me on the comments, ask me over on Twitch. I'll respond when I get a chance. And as always, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for listening. I'll see you all tomorrow for the next episode of Starting Over, which will be probably my most insane video I've made yet. So look forward to that. I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.